Switch Station 32 here for another unboxing. Today we're going to be doing a special unboxing, a really special one. This is the Analogue Super NT. Really excited to get into this. I've wanted one of these for a really long time. Now the Super NT is really hard to get in Canada because for one, it's pretty expensive in Canada. It's about $300. After you transfer money and get it shipped, it's a little over $300. So that's pretty steep for the Super NT in Canada. And I wanted one of these for a while, but that's quite a bit of money, so I really didn't want to spend that kind of money on one of these. And then an opportunity came that I could get one. What actually happened was when I bought my PS4 Pro, I had my old PS2. And it was just lying around. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. It wasn't getting used. And I didn't trade it in because EB Games didn't offer me that much for it. So one of my really good friends was asking me about it. He wanted to buy it off me. So what I did was I traded my PS4 base model, and then I paid the difference in costs, and I picked this up. I was really happy about that because I didn't want to just trade my PS4 for money. I didn't want just money. I traded it for something I really, really wanted. And that was the Analogue Super NT. Now before we get into the Super NT, I'm going to do an unboxing of this controller. This is the SNES 30 Pro edition of 8-bit DOE. And the reason I never got the controller that comes with the Analogue, in Canada, it costs a lot to ship this here. This is the same controller that it comes with. Only I like the paint job on this one better actually. And you can get this off Amazon, and it's cheaper for me to get this in Canada than it is to pay the difference in price plus the American shipping to get it shipped to Canada. And this is the SNES 30 game controller. And any of your 8-bit DOE controllers, as long as they have Bluetooth, will work on this. To get it to work, you have to have the 8-bit DOE retro receiver, and you buy that off Amazon as well. And it still ends up being cheaper to buy it separately in Canada than to get them shipped over as a package. So that's why I went with this. Saying that, let's get into it. There's your box. Pretty nice, pretty fancy box it comes in. 8-bit DOE. And 8-bit DOE makes really nice controllers. These will work on PC, Mac, everything. And as you can see, this is a really nice controller. Almost looks exactly like the original, but it's wireless. And it works through Bluetooth. Really nice packaging. And there it is. Really nice. There's the back. The buttons feel really good on this. It feels just like the regular controller. There's the inside of the box. You get a few more things with this. Your manual. This is a good thing to have because shows you how to hook it up to your PC or whatever you're going to need it for. So people that really don't know how to do that kind of stuff, this is a good thing to have. There's the inside, still nice packaging. This is your charging cable. And as you can tell a lot by a company by how they package their stuff. And this is why Analogue went with 8-bit DOE for their controllers. There's your charger. Comes with a flat cable. Pretty cool. Your other box that it comes with. Inside here is a keychain. Pretty nice that it comes with a keychain. Says what it is. And this is a nice heavy keychain too. Their emblem on the other side. And they make all kinds of controllers. They make controllers for regular Nintendo, Super Nintendo. If you're planning on using this on your Nintendo Switch, you just have to do a firmware update to make it work. But this will work on the Switch as well. So let's get into what we came here for. The Analogue Super NT. I've been waiting for one of these for a while. I've wanted one of these since it first came out. And it was just a little too expensive for me. But I finally got one, and I'm really, really happy about that. It was a pretty good trade, I'd say. He got something that he wanted, I got something I wanted. And I didn't want just money for it. I'd rather have something physical I can have in my hand. And this right here, this will last me forever, so I'm happy about that. Even the plastic on this is quality. Peels off just like a present. I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it has the Analogue logo right on it. right on the box, pretty fancy. Now the first time I've seen this, when I first got this, I was surprised how small the box was. But for being as small as it is, this is a pretty heavy box. You can tell there's a lot of quality in this. Back, nothing fancy about that. And it has that new smell too, you can't beat that. It's beautiful, I must say. Look at that. Now I like the black one as well, but I went with the vintage one. For me, the vintage is always better. This is another reason why I went with this controller. Look at that controller with this. They go perfectly together. You're not going to find a better looking controller to go with this. So happy to have this in my hands finally. Almost seems unreal that I have it, really. I wanted it for so long. Flat feels premium. Your reset, power, HDMI and power. You can hook up the real Super Nintendo controllers to this as well, and it works perfectly. Right here on the side is where you can put an SD card, and there is a jailbreak firmware for this, so you can put an SD card in there and download all the games, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty sure you can even put Sega games on this. Has a nice pad on the bottom of it. So it'll stick, it ain't gonna go anywhere. I'm pretty sure there's a setting that you can even change the colors of your LED light. Well, I'll talk about it for a little bit. There's a lot of settings to this. We're gonna go over a few. What the Analogue SD does is it doesn't emulate your games. So there's zero lag with your controls. It plays the games right off the cartridge, which means you don't have no lag with your controllers. The music is right. It sounds perfect. Your colors are perfect. Everything is just like it would be on the regular Super Nintendo. Now, Analogue built this from the ground up. They also did a regular Nintendo one before this. It was a little bit more expensive. Well, actually, it was quite a bit more expensive. It was about $500 US, so it would be close to $7 in Canada. But it had all your different hookups with it. It was SCART hookups, your component hookups, and HDMI, everything about it. What they did with this, the regular Nintendo one was metal, so what they did with this is they made it so it's smaller, plastic, and just HDMI to get the price down. I think they did a really good job, because anybody that's don't buy this is buying it for HDMI. If they wanted to hook it up all them other ways, they'd just use the regular Super Nintendo. I don't know if you can see the pins in there, but they're nice and clean. And another thing about this is this will play your PAL games, or your European ones, and it will play Super Famicom games. So if you can get some Super Famicom games that you'll be able to play, that you can get past the Japanese, which is just start and go, you can play Super Famicom games in this, and you get them a little bit cheaper. You can also play the PAL games, and you can play your Super Nintendo games as well, which makes this really, really cool. And it will play anything a Super Nintendo will play. Your Mega Drives, everything, anything you can put in a Super Nintendo that will play, this thing will play it. Just your analog paper talks about it. And it comes with Super Turrican too, already installed in it, which is pretty cool. That when you buy this, it already has a game with it. So it has Super Turrican already playable. You just hook it up and play Super Turrican, which is really cool, really neat. There's the box after you take it out. Really nice. The packaging in this is really premium. Even your power cable has the Analogue emblem in it. Your power bar, which has the Analogue logo. And it comes with an HDMI cord with the Analogue logo on it. As you can see, this is a Super Nintendo controller on top. This is the 8-bit DOE one on bottom. And they pretty much look the exact same. Mine, it's a little faded actually, my Super Nintendo controller, but the colors of it when it was brand new look more similar to this. And I would say the buttons are a little bit more loose on the Super Nintendo one than the 8-bit DOE one, but that's okay. So let's get into some gameplay and see how this looks. I can't wait to hook this up. I'm really excited. In Super Turk and Director's Cut and Super Turrican 2, you can only play these versions of them on the Super NT, which is really cool. So you get a really added bonus that way. As you can see, the colors are great. The colors are beautiful. Not that I can find any crisper colors on a Super Nintendo than this. The sound's great. Beautiful game too. I really like this game. It just died there. Really great game. Still blows my mind every time I watch the videos and stuff of how good the Super NT makes these older games look. Classic Analogue logo, and that's different every single time you boot it up, referencing different games. Magical Quest. If you're looking for any hidden gems on the Super Nintendo for on the cheap, this is a great hidden gem. This is a great game. My little guy loves this game. And you can probably find this for about 10 bucks. Maybe even a little bit cheaper if you get the right person. Like I said, zero lag on the controllers. The controls feel great. And Secret of Evermore. Great game. First time I saw this blew my mind. It still blows my mind every time I see it. Can't believe how good it makes this game look. This is a great RPG too. If you're looking for a good RPG that you probably find for $25, $30 on the Super Nintendo, the Square Enix one, this is a great game. Look how good it is. That's so crisp. You're not going to get more perfect than this. Pixel perfect. First time I saw this, it blew my mind. Look at the colors. Colors are great. Really great game too. So my retro receiver finally came in the mail. 8-bit do. That's all you need to get one of these to work on your Super NT. And how it works is through Bluetooth. Pretty cool. It just pops right open. There it is right there. Back. Now this right here will work on your regular Super Nintendo as well. So if you got one of these and you got an 8-bit do controller and you want to play your games with a wireless controller and you have one of these, you can play it. You can get this and it will work perfect with a Super Nintendo as well. See that? Just plugs right in. And this right here is how you sync it up. So you just hold that in. It will pair with this through Bluetooth, so that's pretty cool. And it also comes with the adapter, so you can just plug it right in there. And I assume that's how you do updates on that with your USB port. Pretty cool. These controllers work perfect on the Super NT. I'm really happy with this controller. It worked really good. No lag at all, I didn't find. Maybe a little tiny bit compared to the regular Super Nintendo controller, but hardly any at all, I'd say. I'm really happy with this. And as you can see, plugs in just like that perfectly. and that's how it's supposed to be right there. Then you just sync it up and it fits in perfectly. Not too tight, just the right fit actually. It feels really good going in. You don't have to pull it out. Just a little tug, comes right out. Goes right back in easily. And then you just hold that in. And through Bluetooth, it'll pair up with that controller. So that's pretty cool. And on, like I said, on Amazon, this is only 12 bucks. And then you got your controller. Here in Canada, it ships to Canada for free. So as an alternative to buying the controller with the Super NT, I'd recommend just getting that controller off Amazon and getting the retro bit off Amazon if you're Canadian. If you're American, it probably don't really matter. You might as well just pick up the controller. It's probably not going to cost you anything extra. But in Canada, the difference in the money and the shipping and everything to get the controller and stuff, it costs quite a bit extra. So I'd recommend just getting this off Amazon if you're Canadian. As far as the Super NT, what do I think about it? What are my impressions after having it for a little bit and playing it? Well, I'm super happy with it. I've had a few friends actually. I brought friends over to test this out with me, just so it just wasn't my own opinion. It was other people's as well. And everybody was blown away with this thing. Everybody, I've had 2 or 3 people come over and test this with me. Play it just as fun, as play it for a night. That's why it took me a little bit longer to put the video out, because I wanted not just to have my opinion of it, I wanted to have other people's opinions as well. And everybody that played this was blown away with it. They all loved it. The graphics, they couldn't believe how good it was. The music, the controls, the colors. The colors are insane. You're not going to get better colors than this. I don't think that you could get better colors with the real Super Nintendo than what this will give you. And all the different settings, the scan lines. I was going to go in and make a video about all the different settings, but I'm sure anybody that's interested in this, every video that you watch is going to have 15 to 15 minutes or so, or 10 minutes of just going through the settings. So that's been done so much that I didn't want to slow the video down with the settings, because I'm sure anybody that's looking into spending the kind of money that this costs has watched more than one video on it, and they've seen that before. But yeah, there's a ton of different settings on here. You can set the screen size, you can set the scan lines, you can do all kinds of stuff. This will play PAL games, it'll play Super Famicom games, it will play the Super Game Boy. You can put a Super Game Boy in here and play Super Game Boy games. Where it will play the Japanese games as well, the Super Famicom games. You can actually get the Super Game Boy 2 that was released in Japan, which helps the frame rate of the Game Boy games, because the Game Boy games will skip a frame on the Super Game Boy, but on the Super Game Boy 2 they don't really do that as much. You can't really tell. So you can actually get that, and it's cheaper, and play it in this, and your Game Boy games will even look better, because this will support Super Famicom games, which is really cool. As far as the money wise, is it worth it? It is for me. I'm really happy to have this in my collection. This is something I've wanted forever, and I'm really happy that I have it. But it's probably not for everybody. It's really expensive, especially if you're outside the States. Like, the difference in money plus the shipping to get this here, that's without a controller at all. I paid the controller separate. I didn't even add that into the cost of this. This was over $300 if you include the shipping in Canada. It's $195 American, but once you transfer the money over and then you pack the shipping and stuff on top of that, this was a little bit over $300 to get this here to Canada. So for an average person that just wants to play games on the weekend or whatever, or just play random games, this probably ain't for you. But if you're looking at building a Super Nintendo collection, and you're looking at having a high-end way to play your Super Nintendo games, and you're going to play them more than just once or twice a year, this is an excellent option. It is the best option on the market. You're not going to get a better option than this. Now, if you watch my Nintendo 64 video, I did a review of this. This is called the Neotech. And what it does is converts component cable into HDMI. And this right here works really good on the Super Nintendo as well. I tested this on the Super Nintendo. This is 30 bucks on Amazon. So anybody looking for a cheaper way to get your Super Nintendo transferred into HDMI, this is an excellent option. It don't do what the Super NT does, but it does give a pretty good, it does give you a pretty good picture, I must say. I was really impressed with the picture that this gave me on the Super Nintendo. So it looks really good, actually. So anybody looking for a cheaper option, this is right here is the way to go. This is a really good option. You don't need a FrameMeister or anything. You just plug it in and play it. And it looks really good. I actually think it looks better on the Super Nintendo than what it does the Nintendo 64. So this right here, if you're looking for a cheaper option, the Neotech on Amazon in Canada is 30 bucks. And this is an excellent option right here. But $300 in Canada to get it shipped and everything else. It was a little bit over $300. Plus I had to buy the controller separate, which was $39.99 in Canada. It was free shipping, which really saves on the cost. And then I also had to buy this, which was 12 bucks for this whole unit. So this is roughly about 350 bucks. It's about $350 if you include everything in Canada. And I went with the option of getting a controller off Amazon and getting the retrobit off Amazon and getting it shipped that way because I saved money on shipping. So anybody from Canada, I'd recommend getting it off Amazon, your controller and your retrobit. But like I say, I saved money on this. I traded a PS4 I wasn't using, and one of my really good friends that he wanted, that traded the PS4 and the extra money that I paid on it made it worth it for me. But even me with trying to rebuild my Super Nintendo collection and stuff, I even thought it was steep, and I don't think if I had that PS4 to trade to get the price down on this a little bit, I don't think I would even be able to afford this really. But I'm super happy to have this in my collection. This is my pride and joy in my collection right now. I don't think I like anything in my collection more than this, so I'm really happy with this. So would I recommend it? If you have the money and you want a perfectly clean way to play Super Nintendo games, this is the way to go, 100%. If you want something like this in your collection, this is 100% the way to go. There is no better option on the market, but it's going to cost you. In the States, it's only $195, and I imagine you get half decent shipping on it, so that's not too bad. It's probably only about 230 bucks or something in the States. At that price, I definitely recommend it. It's just in Canada, it costs so much to get it here is what kills it. The price of shipping to try to get it here kills it a little bit for some people. But if money's not an option, this is the way to go for sure. If you already have a Super Nintendo and you just want to play games casually with HDMI, this is what I'd recommend right here, Neotech. 30 bucks in Canada, so really good deal. I'll say this, I really love the Super NT. I don't think I love anything, like I said earlier, this is my favorite thing in my collection. I don't have anything in my collection I love more than this. This thing has such a clean image. The music, everything. Anything a Super Nintendo will play, this will play. If you, an EverDrive, anything like that. If you have any repros and your Super Nintendo will play it, this thing will play it. Everything I try to play in this, it's played. And every review I've watched about it, nobody's had any issues. There was a couple of them, but Analogue fixed all the issues anybody had with it, with their updates. So, and if you find a game, a random rare game or something that doesn't work in this, if you email them, Analogue will go and try to fix that and put an update out right away to fix that. So within a couple of months, Analogue will have an update to fix the issue with it. They're a really good company that way. I would never ever get rid of it. This is something I'm going to keep forever. I'll never get rid of this. This is one of my prized things in my collection. That's how much I love it. That's how much I recommend it if money's not an option for you. If money is an option for you, I can understand. I'd go with the Neotech. for your Super Nintendo, because it gives a pretty good clean image. It's just nowhere near as good as this. This thing is insane. You really have to see it in real life to understand how good of an image and how crisp it looks on this. Because it's really mind-blowing. Everybody that's tried this that I showed them were blown away with it. They all loved it. Everybody loved it. So saying that, that'll be Switch Station 32 here for another review of the Analogue Super NT. I hope you guys really enjoyed it. If you can leave a like and a comment. If you have any questions, leave some comments. If you just want to say something about the video or anything at all, leave it in the comments. I love talking to you guys. I love getting back to you. And I try to get 100% back to anybody that comments to answer everybody's questions. You leave a like and a subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Switch Station 32.